Silent here. So, there's been a lot of news recently about the Baylor sexual assault scandal and Baylor sexual assault as a whole and what it's doing with the football program. So, I'm a Baylor student and I really want to take a moment to just talk a little bit about my thoughts and how I feel it was handled, and positives and negatives and future growth and the whole that. So, this is Business Insider. We'll check Huffington Post as well a little bit and the official report, or at least what was the 13 pages that was released. So essentially, Baylor announced on Thursday that it's firing Art Briles, who is our head football coach, or our former now football coach, amid reports that the football program had been hiding sexual assault and sexual abuse between its players, such as something Ukwandonu, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry, and Sean Oakman, and a number of others. And so we're going to read it all, but essentially the Baylor Board of Regents said they were horrified by all these acts of violence, and the university's handling was bad, essentially. And so what happened is Pepper Hamilton, which is a law firm based out of Philadelphia, that does specializes in this kind of stuff, did a I think 9 month or 12 month review in depth. Apparently, they covered over 1 million pieces of evidence from reports, interviews, etc. And so what they found was that Baylor's student conduct processes were wholly inadequate to provide equitable response under Title IX. The administrators directly discouraged some complainants from reporting. In addition to broader university failings, specific failings within the football program and athletic department, um, and essentially a problem with the culture of Baylor football program, and the response to reports as a whole was just wholly inadequate. So, to sum it up, Art Briles is gone. I don't know who they're pulling in yet. I don't know if it's talking about Phil something or other. I can't remember his name. I'm clearly not that into Baylor football. But then Ken Starr, he's going to essentially be moving to law school. Our now former president, and we're going to have an interim president from the seminary school. So until we find a new president, to hopefully try to clean up what's going on, some lines that Huffington Post really wanted to find out, and so this is really between 2012 and 2015. So this isn't like some of the other scandals I think that have come out that have been like these have been going for 20 years, 30 years. This has not been going on that long, thankfully, for these cases. Essentially, the football coaches weren't doing what they were doing. They were meeting with victims. They were trying to discredit those victims. Um, they dismissed offenders, all sorts of stuff that they did. Um, they created a tone and environment that made the Baylor football players feel like they could do whatever they wanted. The interdisciplinary process just wasn't there, and Art Briles was fired for a reason, right? I mean, so let's take a look as well at the report. Um, Pretty much, Pepper found that the Baylor's efforts to implement Title IX were slow, lack of institutional support, lack of engagement by senior leadership, wholly inadequate to have a prompt and equitable response. Sometimes they failed to take action. And so this is, I mean, you could go through, read this report. I'm sure I'll link all these below. But, just talk about it from a student's perspective. I'm really glad they did this. And I'm not glad that the sexual assaults happened and that they were hidden up. I don't mean that this happened. I meant I'm glad that they got Pepper Hamilton. They got it done right. We went through the right course of action. We looked for what was wrong. We had outside people. We allowed them really, really excellent access. They got to see whatever they needed. They got tons of evidence. We didn't try to hide anything from them. We didn't try to cheat the system, and I feel really, really good about that. I feel really good that the Baylor Regents acted pretty quickly. I mean, there's contracts involved. There's some legal stuff involved. So, like, just firing someone immediately is very difficult from one of these positions. But I'm glad that Baylor Regents acted very promptly, I think, between when they got the information and when they some news leak that they were going to fire Bryles, and then it finally happened. And I'm really glad that we're looking to clean up our act here. I really hope that we can spend a couple years cleaning up our act and fixing the Baylor football environment and the Baylor football tone, and looking for a new president. I don't know how much Ken Starr was involved in what was going on. I don't know how much he knew, how much he covered up. I don't think it's. I've read through the report pretty closely, and I haven't found anything about Ken Starr. So I'm sure he knew somewhat what was going on. I don't know to what extent. Certainly, we'll be hopefully finding a new president that will push into these reforms, and I think it's really great that people like Stephanie Moontek and a number of others who brought up their cases and how badly their cases were handled created a real push for change on our campus. Am I disappointed by what was going on? Absolutely. Am I surprised that there was a culture of invincibility that was created around the Baylor football program? Not even a little bit. Baylor football is hyped up. It's everything at Baylor, or at least it was last year, and maybe it will change. Hopefully, it will change. We have plenty of other good sports teams and academic stuff to be proud of. But I'm not surprised that that kind of tone was created, and I hope that we can have a new coach that will change that will really keep the students accountable. And I hope that we have new administrators in place and new directives in place that will make sure that these bad sexual assault cases were handled correctly. I do not think that Baylor has a sexual assault problem. I do not think that's true. The football team, yes. Baylor as a whole, I do not think has a sexual assault problem. I think our Title IX office has a problem with dealing with claims, clearly, and they were absolutely horrible. But I don't think that we have such a high rate of sexual assaults on our campus. I don't think that's true at all. I just think that there's institutional stuff that's going on within Baylor that needs to be fixed, and at least from what Pepper Hamilton says, that the regents are doing that. At least it says here at the conclusion, the board has already adopted Pepper's recommendations, which are set forth in a separate document that I don't believe has been released. If it has been, please link it to me. I'd love to see it. To close, I guess really simply to end this long ramble, I would say, yeah, Baylor football fucked up. Baylor fucked up, but hopefully we can clean up our act and we can take that Christian value, which I'm not a part of, right? I'm an atheist liberal on campus, but hopefully there are the Christian values that I do think are valuable, the Christian values of love one another and protect one another and create a safe college campus for us to learn and interact and grow, can be upheld in the future. Thanks for watching.